So we're going to talk about coach communication, but before we do that, we're going to play a game, because I like games. You know the game where you play with kids, it's Snap. You know, when you that card game, everyone knows that card game. Well, I don't have any cards with me, so we're going to play a different form of Snap. It's a good way to make friends with your neighbours here as well. So this game is, I play this with my kids and they're 6 and 4, so this is just for children, so I can see a room full of children here. So this game is called Facial Snap. So I want you to practice these 3 faces with me. Have you ever done this?
No, but I'd like to.
Okay. No one's ever done this. I invented this on a train because I was bored. Okay, so the first face you've got to do, you've got to copy my face. Don't take any pictures of this because I know you're take pictures of them. Okay, so the first face you're going to do, there's a lady here looking at me like, I do not want to do that. What have I done doing? Right, so I'm going to make you smile by the end of it. Lovely lady. Right, the first face you're going to do is this face here. Okay, this is the face, ready? Okay, so everybody do that face for me. Oh, very nice. She said, can we get it? So 3, 2, 1, everyone do the face. 3, 2, 1. Okay, very good. That's everyone's fart face, right? So the second face we're going to do, instead of this, we're going to do this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, great, good. And the third face we're going to do, it's a very simple face. Try not to spit at your neighbour. This face is this face here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so face number 1 after 3. 1, 2, 3. Face number 2. 1, 2, 3. Face number 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it? Simple, right? Everyone knows their faces. Now, what you do is you turn to the person next to you. You face the person next to you. You face the person next to you. So find a face. So move it around so everyone's got someone to play with. So what you're going to do is I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. And when I say 1, 2, 3, you pull a face. If the face is the same face, the first person to shout out snap wins. It's really simple. Okay? So you can pull one of the faces, one of the 3 faces. He's looking very confused now. So you've got 3 faces, you're going to pull one of those faces. If the face is the same, it's snap. First person to shout out snap wins. Got it? Everyone simple. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Stop. Okay. Again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, last time, best of 3. 1, 2, 3. Give yourself a round of applause for that. So, there is a point to all of that. There really is a point to silly games. And I like silly games, because silly games are fantastic. You create fun environments, but we'll talk about that later on. So look, these are some of the people I've worked with. The lovely late Jermaine Mason sadly passed away last couple of years ago, very sadly. Tom Parsons, Isabel Billy, Julie Crane, Robbie Grabarts, and my latest athlete is a lovely girl, Morgan Lake, has huge potential, was amazing junior, absolutely extraordinary junior, one of the greatest juniors we've ever had, but has lots of work to do. And I won't talk about her so much today in terms of the work that I'm going to do with you today. I'm going to talk more about Robbie Grabarts because he's quite an interesting character and he retired obviously this year. So who am I? I am Fuzz. I was called Fuzz Ahmed, but that's not my real name. It's very complicated. I am a Khan, but I'm K-H-A-N, but there was another actor called Alex Khan, because I'm an actor, and I had to change the spelling of my name to C-A-A-N, hence it's C-A-A-N, because there was another actor. I'm an ex-athlete. I jumped 221, age 20. I put my foot like that when I was 21 and I snapped my patella. Terrible American coaches, won't go into that. So I learned lots about coaching by getting it wrong. I should have been a much better athlete than I was. And I really do mean that. I should have been a double Olympian, easy, even an Olympic finalist, but I wasn't. And I'm currently a senior coach at British Athletics. Now, for you guys in this room, I have coached longer as an amateur coach than I have as a professional coach. And I lost money when I became a coach. Just to put that into perspective. I travelled to major games, 3 Olympics, on my own steam, coached an Olympic silver medalist and a finalist, and paid for my own trip. Just so that you have an idea that it's not all fantastic at that top end. It's fantastic when you get a job, but there's very few jobs in track and field in the world. Not just in Great Britain and Ireland, in the world. So we're incredibly lucky. So, as an actor, I've played lots of people. I've played QCs, quite a lot of QCs. There's me playing a QC. And there's another that's a very serious QC. And the reason I don't really act anymore is really simple. Is because I got typecast. And I got typecast because I ended up playing lots of terrorists. And I just thought, my facial hair, I can grow a beard. By the end of the afternoon, I'll have a beard, trust me. And I just thought to myself, I went to RADA, for God's sake, so I want to show, I'm a proper actor. Anyway, I just thought I'm not going to really be a terrorist anymore. But I got one last terrorist job in before, and it was this job here, which I quite like. And that used to be my Facebook page, just for a laugh. And I remember when I travelled to America, people would say, "And who are you flying with, sir?" And I always lean forward and I'd say, "I'm flying with Allah." Needless to say, I got stopped many times. But this is absolutely true. From 1985 to 2016, this is absolutely true. I got stopped every single time I travelled in an airport. And on January the 1st, I travelled the first time, January the 7th, under my name Khan, because I changed my name legally in 2016. Since 2016 to this day, I have never been stopped at an airport. I promise you, that's absolute truth. Every airport I've ever been to, because I changed the spelling of my name. Obviously, that's not my Facebook page anymore. Right, so, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the athletic communicator as opposed to just a normal communicator. And we're going to look at how, a bit of RADA 101, simple kind of RADA. And when I did this presentation, or part of this presentation to businesses, a friend of mine who was at drama school with me sat next to me and said, "Fuzz, how do you know all that stuff?" And I was like, "Well, I learnt it sitting next to you." But I see the world very differently compared to most actors, because I don't think like an actor, I think like a coach. I think about someone who wants to develop people. I'm fascinated with the idea. So we're going to look at all of this stuff, and you're going to interact with me, but before we do that, we're going to have some active listening. So today's about being actively in the moment, rather than passively in the moment. And being actively in the moment is easy, because you just change your body, and we'll look at that later on. So, we're going to start with something called the silent count. Then we're going to work on the athletic communicator, body language, verbal communication, and then move on to self-confidence. So, the silent count. What I need is a group of volunteers, and because I know that you don't want to volunteer, I see your face, you're going to need number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I like your beard, 10. So if I could get you lovely people, you guys, the ones that I pointed to, you just don't want to do it, it's so great. And I'd like you to just form a circle right there. Okay, really simple, right? Form a circle right there. Okay. This game is easy, and all that you have to do in this game is you have to count to 10. So, for example, you might say 1, and randomly you might say 2, and then you might say 3, and then you might say 4. But you're going to get all the way to 10. And the only way you can't get to 10 is that if you both say 5 together. So you interrupt each other, then the game stops, you've got to start again. Make sense? Yeah, so all you've got to do is count to 10. It's really simple, right? Except you've got to close your eyes. Okay, so close your eyes, and I'm not going to say anything, and somebody's going to start, you've got to close your eyes.
1.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Jesus, she's the perfect lover.
Right, so all right, so I'll shut up for like a minute or so, or like 5 seconds. Christ, let me get my breath. And then somebody might start, and then you're going to continue. If you get to 10, that's great, and then we'll all sit down and I'll have completely screwed it up. Right. 1. 2. There you go, 2. Good. All right, so we're going to have a second attempt, because in high jump you have 2 attempts, so we're going to see if we can get to 10.
1.
Okay, we've got a third attempt, because we like third attempts. Open your height, you don't want to screw this one up, but who cares if you do? 1. 3. No, that was a mistake. Right, so you basically brought it up completely. They're rubbish, right? Okay, right, so fine, but it's great that you're rubbish, because rubbish is good, because you learn from being rubbish, and you get better at it. But I'm going to help you now, because I'm going to now do a thing called coaching. So the thing I'm going to do in terms of coaching is I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes closed, and I want you to do something really powerfully for me. I want you to listen. Whilst you're listening, I want you to relax your legs and relax your... When people say he's got a tight ass, now you know what I mean, right? So you want to relax your body. And I want you to just breathe. And when you're breathing, I want you to listen really clearly to what's going on in the room. So try not to don't scrunch your face up, but allow your face to be relaxed as well. Or maybe that's some of your faces, I don't know. Okay, so you're going to listen to what's in the room. Right now, I'm going to be quiet for a moment, and I'm going to listen to what's in the room, and I can hear a projector. I also can hear me and my cracky ankle. I can hear the static of an audio. I can hear myself breathe. And you can hear yourself breathe. You also can hear the people next to you breathe. Okay, so once you are listening to the other people's breathing, be aware of how they are breathing. And then relax your breathing. So take your time. And allow your breath to drop into your body so you're more centered. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch somebody on the shoulder, and that person is going to start on 1. But the only rule of this next bit of this game is that you leave space for other people. That doesn't mean that you go slowly, it just means that you leave space. And I'll let you interpret that however you want. So I'm going to touch somebody on the shoulder, and that person, at some point when I stop talking, is going to start, and then I want everyone in our little group of 10 to leave each other space. So you just allow each other in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7,
8.
9, 10.
Okay, you can keep going if you want. Because we've all left the bloody. Okay, right. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our mate. Okay, so why does that work? It's really simple. Why does it work? It's the greatest thing about communication is this tool, and we all have this tool. So the workshop today isn't about taking notes. The workshop is about actually realizing what skills you have. And the greatest skill we all have is we have 2 eyes and 2 ears, unless you don't. But most people have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. And believe it or not, I don't talk very much when I coach, which is hard for you to believe. Because I spend my whole time looking and listening. And because I look and listen, I take in lots of information. Now, there's somebody, originally when you all started your little group here, it was panicked. It was, it was unpleasurable to observe. Actually, it was quite hypnotic to observe them second time around. And then the experience whilst you were in this experience was very peaceful. And I'm not saying that it needs to be peaceful and dull, it can be peaceful and energized, because I've never done that and I've only ever done it once with a group of critical care nurses who were able to take that all the way to 10. Why critical care nurses? Because they work in a team, and they're female, and they understand each other, and they look to each other for leadership. I've never done that with a group of smelly businessmen. It's not my fault. You know, it was a blame game until they started to realise somebody out there, the introvert amongst you, might have the answer, because the introvert might not want to talk. So as a coach, it's really powerful to take the time. Very interesting. So the athletic communicator, what is it? Who is this? Does anyone know who that is? The who? You are so clever. It's the Vitruvian Man. Not many people know that. Well done. How did you know that? That's very good.
I'm just clever.
Yes. I'm just clever. So the Vitruvian Man, of course, by my mate Leonardo da Vinci. The Vitruvian Man because it was from Vitruvian. So it's fantastic. Everyone knows this image. That image, I know that image very well. I made a video when I was at university in America about this image. It was a little man, he stood there like that. It was a little, it was like 20-second cartoon where he did this. The door closed, and he went, like that. He stretched his arms, and then he reached into an imaginary pocket, because he didn't obviously have any pockets, and he took out a pack of Camels lights, and he took a cigarette, and he lit it, and he smoked the cigarette. He was just smoking the cigarette, and then the door went, and he went, oh. And that was my little video, right? And it was brilliant, and I'm really proud of it. It took me flipping 6 months, it's like drawing one by one. So I know this man very well. In fact, for a while, I based my look on him. I didn't walk around with my willy out, obviously, but I had that kind of... And this is really powerful because it tells you all about how the body works. Because it's the 1.61 golden ratio, the ratio that occurs throughout nature. Flowers have 1.61. We have 1.61 ratio. It's divine proportions. People believe that houses should be built like this. This is what the house looked like. It was this wide and this tall. And so it was divine, therefore it was God. I don't believe in God. Very interesting people that do. I'm happy for you, but I don't. And it's an interesting idea. Bits that fit, that's how tall you are. Right, so we know the wingspan is equivalent to her height. Jess Ennis has got very long arms, considering how short she is. So actually her wingspan is different. So when people have very long arms, it's quite powerful, but you should also go and get the heart check because you get a thing called Marfan's, and there's an elongated heart valve. But Leonardo da Vinci can tell you, he tells you what occurs here. There are little relationships within this, with little lines. So your forearm is your foot, I'm sure you all know that. Your sternum to your pubic bone from here to here is the same on basically everybody. Tall people and short people. This bit fits. It fits so you can have babies. Huh? My God, of course. So these are amazing things that occur in your body. Look, this is how big your nose is. This is your eye. I can even tell you other bits of your body, but they're too rude. Okay, matching joints. Your ankle and your wrist. Look, your thumb here is your big toe here. This joint is the same joint. This joint is the same joint. It functions the same way. This joint is the same joint. All movements pass through this bit of your body, the belly button. The belly button is central to everything. The belly button is central to all of your movement. Imagine walking down the street like this. It's kind of weird. If you see people walking, it's actually quite hard to walk up a set of stairs. It's sort of madness. Right? When babies crawl, they crawl because they develop their coordination and then they become upright and they work their abdominals, and their abdominals is the centre of their sporting strength and also their communication strength. The belly button is central to everything. So if I walk up to my mate Tom and say, "Oh mate, how's it going?" Completely normal. Bit random, but completely normal. If I go, "Hey mate, nice to see you," that's kind of more normal. But if I walked up to my mate Tom and randomly went, "Alright, pal," he'd be like, it's touching my head. Okay, completely random. Agreed? Right, I'm going to play a game with you. I'm going to kill someone. Right, the game I'm going to play is when I come back in this room, I'm not Fuzz anymore. I'm the Pope. You spiritual samples. Completely normal. Now Tom goes, "The Pope touched my head!" Right? All of you put your little baby, "Come touch my baby's head, come touch my baby's head." Right? Completely normal if the Pope does it. So there are normalities and bizarre stuff. Agree? We all can see that as an idea. Watch this. I don't know. Completely weird. The only weirder place to touching Tom's belly button is to touch his willy. Tom's like that. So anyway, so Tom, why is the belly button so? It's so open. The laughing Buddha, the big fat tummy. He says, "Look, touch me. I'm open. I'm open." Why are men obsessed with touching women's bellies when they're pregnant? Have you not noticed women who are like, men is like something he's drawn. I'm like, "That's my wife, leave her alone." That was just the taxi driver. This is really great. So belly buttons are central to everything. They're central to our emotion. They're central to our movement. So therefore, there's the clue. The clue comes from here. So your body is an amazing tool. Movements pass through your belly button. 73% of your body is muscle and bone. Therefore, 73% of what goes wrong with you is to do with muscle and bone. Therefore, 73% of what goes right with you is to do with muscle and bone. Affect 73% of you, you can have 73% health or disease. So therefore, if we affect this, we can affect how our body communicates, because we're muscle and bone. Motion creates emotion. If it's Friday at 5 o'clock and I'm sitting in my chair like that, I'm so tired. Well, no wonder, I'm lying down. Get up, move your body. Motion creates emotion. I'm really happy. No one's really, you're happy because you move your body. Muscles work synergistically. They work together. Look, there's a few muscles working there, a few more there, and I kick a football, huge amounts of muscle. I take off, go over a high jump bar. They work together. It's the biggest clue in coaching. Work together. No one knows all the answers, and if you think you know all the answers, you're a liar. There's someone out there who's an expert at something. Tap into the experts. It's incredible how we do this in athletics and track and field and all sport, by the way. Everybody assumes that they have all the answers to all the problems. Go and find someone who's done it before. Don't repeat their mistakes. Mistakes are just things done twice. Learn from their experience rather than create your own mistakes. I don't make mistakes. I ask people. I grew up in Southampton. My coach was Mike Smith. He was a school teacher. He coached me when he was 64 years old. I just thought he was an old fart. I had no idea he was a genius. He was a genius. I had no idea. I went to America getting coached by proper coaches. I was injured within a year. Catastrophic. Why was he a genius? Because he kept it simple, stupid. He coached Chris Akabusi, Roger Black, Todd Bennett, Ewan Thomas, all from Southampton, from one city. Now we don't have him as a coach. We don't have any runners from the South Coast. Therefore, he was a clever man, keeping it simple. He worked together with teams. He learned from people for 50 years before. I'm just taking on his work. Incredible man. But it's a clue. The clue is synergy. When you doubt whether you should be working with anyone else, look at how your hands... The next time you're ill, don't go to the doctors. Just think about it yourself. Go online, sort it out yourself. And of course, that's not the case. You go to the doctor. Find people who are smarter than you. Don't make their mistakes. Breath. Oxygen is the most important nourishment our body needs. Fact. Fact. Absolute fact. Look, I'll prove it to you. If you don't eat anything for 50 days, you will die. The guy who was in that queue, what's his name? David Blaine. He did 44 days. If he did 6 more days, we would have got rid of the tosser. So, just imagine. So 50 days, you will die. He did 44, so 6 days. My math is rubbish. If you don't drink for 5 to 8 days, you will die. The little old lady was squashed between the freeway in California in 1991. She lived. I licked the condensation in the windows. She survived because she licked the condensation in the windows. Lovely lady. So, if you don't drink for 5 to 8 days, you will die. But if you don't breathe for 3 or 4 minutes, you will die. The end. So therefore, oxygen is the most important nourishment your body needs. So if you learn to breathe effectively, you become already more powerful. Not as a communicator, but as a human being, because you're more energized. I see people on the tube going up the stairs in London, like this. I hate walking up the tube, it's so knackering. Well, you're holding your breath. Right, so if you hold your breath, you don't breathe. You don't breathe, you don't feed your body. Now, breath is a powerful thing. Watch, ready? I'm breathing very deeply. I'm making no noise. I manipulate breath with my tongue and my teeth. And the structure here, Alexander technique. If I manipulate it, I can create different sounds. Every mouth on every human being is the same. So every accent and every language is repeatable. I can do every accent in the world. The end. Why? Because I can manipulate my mouth so it sounds like the other, I make the shape of the other person's mouth. That's what an accent is. Therefore you create amazing things with your voice. Words are made up of 2 elements, vowels and consonants. Consonants carry emotion. I'm naming something in my house. Ah! Ah! I don't go, K. That's the wrong thing. It's fascinating. Consonants give clarity and meaning. That's why swear words are consonants followed by vowels. It's all that. Look at racist words. No one ever called me you Indian. They called me a aki. Because it sounds great. I remember as a kid going, wow, fascinating. He called me a big-nosed Packy Perth, which was extraordinary because I was shagging his sister. He didn't know that. Go on the video. Where did that come from? Okay, so, and I was fascinated in the language, even as a 16-year-old. Even I was just amazed at the way it made him feel. Fascinated, genuinely fascinated. So this is really interesting. Therefore, you can manipulate the words you use to carry different emotions. Look, so words, the arrangement of vowels and consonants create words. Now, if you think about this logically, the arrangement of words allows us to communicate our thoughts using, this is where it gets complicated, sentences. Now you think, this is weird, are you real? This is true. Look, what? A sentence is a thought. Hello, Tom, how are you? Tom goes, he thinks about it, and then he goes, because a thought is a breath. Hello, Tom, how are you? Therefore, a sentence is a breath. Therefore, a movement is the same. If you teach breathing to movement, you teach perfect movement. Summer, when you run up to the high jump bar, do you breathe in or out when you start your runway? Halfway through, do you breathe in or out? Pardon? So you have an understanding. You went through it, you closed your eyes, went through it. I can see you visualising it in your head, and you went through it, and you connected to her breathing. Under stress or duress, most people stop breathing. And when they stop breathing, they stop thinking. Therefore, if you stop thinking, you stop moving. Therefore, as a communicator, if you stop breathing, you can't communicate. So the secret is breathing. Be cool. Breathe. Take a breath. You've all heard those phrases. They're true. Absolutely true. A sentence is a breath. I did a play once where I had to walk on stage, and there was a chair there, there was a thing there, and I had to stand next to the chair, and there was a lady bathing. She was drinking in a mosque. It was called Passage to India. I was playing a guy called Dr. Aziz. And all I had to say was, Madam, this is a mosque. You're just not allowed to. She's drinking from the water that you're meant to bathe in. So it was simple. I walked on stage, stopped, looked at the lady, Madam, this is a mosque. The audience can see the opening line of the play. Except that I did the play in New York. And we did the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and curtains opened, and I started walking. And this stage was double, it was treble, it was massive. I got to about here, and I thought, I don't know what my line is. Because suddenly I walked 2 feet and breathed and breath. Suddenly I was breathing. I got to this point. I had no idea where I was. I was thrilled at the idea of trying. So I sort of had a little giggle to myself. And then I stopped. I sort of looked around. The audience didn't know any different. And then I took 1, 2, Madam, this is a mosque. It all came back to me. Now the audience saw that as the guy coming in, seeing somebody, being confused by it, having some time to think, and then speaking, performing. They didn't know. I was thrilled. It suddenly dawned on me how voice is connected to movement. It was a huge discovery for me. I did it every night, actually. I used it from then on as an idea. Now, very simple, right? Power of words. Words incredibly powerful. Shakespeare was a genius. Probably, well, no, he was the greatest wordsmith of all time. And this is from an excerpt from As You Like It with a character called Jaques. Now, a lot of people would describe Jaques as the voice of Shakespeare, a very melancholic man. Everyone knows this. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first the infant. Boring Shakespeare, right? This is a piece of music. Every comma is a pause, every full stop is a breath, every semicolon is a breath. Look, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Breathe. They have their exits and their entrances. Breathe. New thought. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first the infant. He tells you to push on, because look, in the middle of the sentence there's a gap. Then you want da 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 da. Look how many words start with a vowel. All the world's a stage. He doesn't say the world is a stage, he says all the world's a stage. The all, the vowel carries emotion. All the world, look, world. Hello, I'm Mr. World, and this is my associate, Mr. S. Hello, we're Wood and Sir, we're very trustworthy. No, you're not. Wood and Sir already. I'm a snake who slithers. Wood is a very negative. Look how many times he uses what and Sir. Women, players. One man at a time playing many parts. It's actually 7 ages. The first infant mewling. What again? Think about the word. Mewling and puking. Look at that. Ing. The K. Look at the way he puked. He was puking. This was written in 1604. It's beautiful. It's at first the infant Julian puke in the nurse's arms. This is my son. Then the whining schoolboy. Then the world's a stage, whining schoolboy. It's creating a response emotionally. Creeping like snail, unwilling to school. Look, what and so again. The guy's a genius. My son, yesterday, we're going to walk to school. Daddy, why can't we drive? Because you're a lazy little 4-year-old shit. We're going to walk. Creeping like snail, unwilling to school. With his shining morning face. My God, it's true. It's Monday morning, when you're driving to work, or looking out the window, look at the kids, creeping like snail, unwilling to school. And then the lover sighing like furnace. It goes on, right? And then we have it, carries on. There's our set, there it goes all the way through. This is the greatest bit about this play, this speech. He talks about these 7 ages of man. And he says, last scene of all that ends a strange, eventful history is second childishness, where you poo your pants, and mere oblivion. He uses the word mere to create a response. What's worse than oblivion? Mere oblivion. He doesn't say no teeth, no eyes, no taste, no nothing. He says sans or sans, which is French for no. So use that s word. So, a mere oblivion. No teeth, no eyes, no taste, no nothing. Where he says sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. So, this speech is about the 7 ages of your growth and everything, because we're all going to go through this. It's fantastic, until you start to look at this extraordinary thing. Look at the whole speech again, and look at the last word of each line. The last word of each line: stage, players, entrances, parts, infant, arm, satchel, snail, lover, ballad, soldier, part, quarrel, justice, line, cut, instances, shifts, pantaloon, side, wide, voice, pipes, all, history, oblivion, everything. This speech is about all, history, oblivion, everything. You can do that to almost all of Shakespeare's speeches. That's why it still works. Now you're saying, so what? I'm not a Shakespeare teacher. Right. Tony Blair presented for invasion of Iraq. And this is what it looked like. The Right Honourable, I'm a complete liar, That's what it looks like. It looks great. Look how short it is. I know who wrote that. He's now in charge of Ofcom. But that's another story. Friends in high places. So, have a look. Simple, yeah? Until you Shakespeareise it. Look how small the sentences are. Some say it's Iraq, some say it's the Middle East peace process. It's both, Some say it's politics, some say it's terrorism. It's both. Is it? Is it? Is it? I know you worry about Iraq. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't care. No one cared. But suddenly he creates this way to make us. Look how simple the words are. Look how small the sentences are. Look how sound-bitey it is. Look how powerful it is. It keeps going. It's tiny. Until you realise what he's really saying. Look at the last word in every line. This is what's so shocking. Now, I presented this in 2003 in a place for NatWest Bank. And a guy stood up and said, well, I completely disagree with that. You're completely out of order. And I said, no, I'm not. He said, yes, you are. And I said, we're going to have to agree to disagree. And he completely went for me. 4 years later, a bomb went off on a bus outside that building. And it resonated with me massively. Because I know we didn't get it wrong. The man was a liar. Because look, Iraq processed both, poverty, terrorism, both. Iraq bad, motives alone, UN, route ultimate, UN, me, part, comply, consider at the moment danger itself, dictator war is necessary for peace, poverty, disease, hope, Taliban, AIDS. This speech, this war is about free trade, free markets, and free enterprise. He couldn't hide it. He couldn't hide it until you deconstruct the language used. So you as coaches, whatever you say is powerful. It affects people deeply and you don't know it. We do it all the time. Why do you think great advertising works so subliminally? This movie is sponsored by a wine. Oh, I think I'll have a glass of wine. This movie is sponsored by Watsits. Oh, I think I'll have some Watsits. Right? It's brilliant the way they do it. So it's really clever. So you, as coaches, when you prepare for your session, how will you prepare for your session? What are your winning routines that you can adopt? What could you do for your body and your breath? And also understanding the power of language or the power of words. It's the choices you make. All we have is words. I can't squat anymore. I can't high jump anymore. I'm 52. I'm old. but I have words. I can inspire. I can figure out a language that the athlete understands rather than blaming the athlete when they don't understand my coaching methodology, because everyone is different. Some like strawberry jam, some like apricot jam. We're all different. So therefore, change your language to affect the individual. Body language. So important. Very important in track and field. So this is Albert Mehebrian. This is a really interesting idea. Face-to-face communication. 55% of his body language. Tonality. Hello, how are you doing? And the words you use. You know what? That's wrong. In most society now, that's perfect for when I'm a coach. But when I send a text, an email, etc., a WhatsApp, a Twitter, etc., it changes. How many of you have sent a WhatsApp, a text, and gone, and the person's misinterpreted it? I do it 3 times a day. I don't do it. But you know, it's fascinating to see how languages change and how we use language effectively, because we communicate in this broad way with words. So that's actually become greater, that's actually become less, and that's almost irrelevant, because it's deeply unsophisticated. This is text speak. Hello, how are you? Or hello, how are you? Caps. That's it. Right? There's no hello, how are you? There's a sarcasm. You don't hello, how are you? Can be interpreted any way you want. I find it extraordinary how you rely on WhatsApp. Record, if you can, record your little bits so people can listen to them, so they can hear tonality. And soon there'll be video, little videos. Hey, what are these? Today's session is this, I want you to work on this. And here's my dog. You know, something. Okay. Regardless of how you feel inside, always try to look like a winner. Even if you are behind, a sustained look of control and confidence can give you a mental edge. This results in victory because movement affects emotion. Remember, motion creates emotion. If you're like that, you're going to lose. If you foul the bar, you foul the jump, you false start, and your body's language like that, you're going to foul again. Change your body language. If you walk in and walk the walk, you will change. Your body doesn't know. Your brain's not that clever. So motion creates emotion. The sculpture game. I need I need 3 people. Who's going to volunteer? No one. It's going to be such fun. Right, who can I most pick on? I'm not going to look up until I'm going to look up and see the person who's most scared. I like the man in blue. I like your body language. You're not bloody having me! I love you for that. You, my friend, you've got a fantastic coach, you come with me. And I need 2 volunteers. I need Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. So can I have 2? They can be female, it doesn't matter. Michelangelo basically was. So Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, because I need 2 sculptors. Yes, yes, look, Michelangelo, it's so beautiful. And Leonardo da Vinci, can I get, can I get you've got great faces, you lot. I can't figure out. I like Malibu, you've got a great face. Malibu, can I use you, Malibu? Okay, what's your name? Stephen. You're new at Stephen. Everyone's called Stephen. Have a sit down here, Stephen. You're a great big lump of marble. Does a lot of bench press, this one. Hello, you're Stephen as well. Hello, Stephen. And you're Malibu. Anna Malibu. So Anna Malibu, Stephen and Anna Malibu, you're going to be Michelangelo, and you're going to be Leonardo da Vinci. How do you feel? They're both renowned homosexuals, so it's okay. So what you're going to do is I'm going to take you out there and I'm going to give you a word. And you're going to manipulate Stephen here to communicate the word by just sculpting his body, moving his body. Okay, and to do his face, you're going to do that and you can copy the face. Don't touch his face. Because, you know, he might not like that. Right, so if you'd like to come out here, okay, if you'd like to come out there, do that. Right, and I'm going to whisper very quietly the word to you. Okay. I won't be long. Okay, so they know the word. You've got a couple of seconds. I need some theme music at this point, like countdown music. You look a bit terrified. Don't be terrified. The word is not erection, so you're okay. Okay, so...
You guys have got dirty minds, man. Open up right now.
Okay, or erect. They should be erect, that's a funny gap. Okay, because they're going to manipulate your body. Once they're happy, I'm going to ask you, the audience, to shout out what emotion Steve is feeling. Yeah, it's very simple.
Bad.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Right, okay, so you're going to Stephen, and no words, off you go.
One question. We're not touch his face, but can we touch his head?
Yeah, you can do it if you want. Don't touch his face. But you can use your face to communicate with his face by looking at him.
Okay.
Yeah? So, okay, and what about the body? Straight into the face, straight in the face. Jesus Christ. Okay, happy? Happy? Great, what's he feeling?
Glum.
What?
Glum.
Right, glum, so you went too far. Something nearly said it, so go away from
say
go
it,
away from
you say
yeah,
it.
go away from glum. Okay, glum's too big. So how would you make it less glum and more? Right, what's Stephen feeling now?
Defeated.
Which one?
Defeated.
Defeated. Okay, so you've gone from glum to defeated. So think about this posture here.
Sad.
Okay, sad, yeah, sad. Yeah, simple, yes? Who said sad? Well done. The lady in okay, so sad. Right, so Stephen is sad. Okay? If Stephen stays here long enough, in this position, he will feel sad. Trust me. He's already starting to feel sad. Now watch how powerful communication body language is. Watch this. Stephen, I want you to do this with your fist. Does he feel sad now? Does he look sad?
Yeah.
Right, so Stephen, I want you to move your eye line up to where my hand is here, and I want you to turn to here. But I want you to then look with your eyes, not your head, over here to this window. Does he feel sad now? He feels menacing and jealous. Agreed? Agreed? Right, Stephen, I want you to put 1 foot further and 1 foot really far forward. Do the same thing, but look. Now he looks like he's ready to strike. Look at his body. I've moved his body tiny. Okay, so if you release your hand here and just crunch all of it like on one finger. So that's changed the story already. There's something like, I'm out to get you. You can't quite see it, but if Stephen was then going to pick his hand up to that position, move your hand, sweep your hand up to there. Already you go, oh, that's quite threatening. And he's not exactly a small guy. But look at that finger pointing compared to just an open communication tool. So this body, this extraordinary body, can communicate stories. So what you choose to do is incredibly powerful. In my event, it makes or breaks the athlete. Trust me, because I can affect the competition in 2.5 hours. You can't. The gun goes, you've got to watch. I can. But yet every training session leading into that, you can. Make sense? Leonardo, you were an amazing piece of marble. Thank you very much. Well done, everyone. Right, so it's a simple idea, sculpture game, pretty powerful. It's a game that you can play with your kid, with your athletes. It's quite fun. And it's really important. Every interaction makes a difference. Whether coaching athletes, you will pick up on subtleties of your body language. So, this is the greatest sportsman, I think, of all time. He's brilliant. To be a great champion, you must believe you are the best. If you're not, pretend. Just pretend. And people are like, that's ridiculous. Pretend. If you pretend enough, you start believing it. Okay, body language. More than 50% of your message, eye contact, posture, and smile. Because nobody kicks a dog with a wagging tail. Get away from me! Right? You walk into a room and you go, hello mate, how are you? Good to see you. I create a connection. It's horrible. It's horrible. Lovely to see you. Fantastic, thanks for coming. I create a connection. Smile! And when you're upset, smile again. That's why we're in this lecture theatre. Anyway, I won't go into that. Right, so, okay, so it's really powerful. Nobody kicks a dog with a wagging tail. I have only ever had 2 people in the whole world who've never given me the information I've asked, and both being British coaches and both complete wankers. Yes? One of them still almost coaching, the other one's gone to America. I've asked every coach in the world for information, they've all given it to me. Sotomayor's coach gave me all of his training, because I bought him a brandy. And I can't speak Spanish, but I did. I was so pissed on the end of it. I was fantastic. Yet he gave me all this information. I didn't make the mistakes that he made when he was in his early 30s and 40s. I gained from making connection with people. So the game that we played earlier, when you're smiling and messing around, already you've got a connection with someone you probably might know, don't know. Exchange emails, make friends with people, share contacts. You'll be surprised in this journey, this little game that we play, how quickly it goes. Jared will remember very clearly me sleeping on the couch in 1998 at the Commonwealth Games. Very clearly. It was like yesterday, you know.
Just like this.
We still look fantastic, don't we? Okay, so verbal communication. Pitch. Hello. I'm Fuzz. Thank you for my presentation. Nervous and unassertive. Be aware of your pitch. Medium pitch, sincere and confident. And then, of course, there's this pitch, deep pitch. There, I know all the answers. You know nothing. Deep pitch can be authoritative. You need to be very careful in your selection of pitch. So, pitch variation is vital in making speech interesting. We do it every day of our lives. If there's a man across the room, you don't go, Dave, 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 Dave. Doesn't work. You go, Dave! And Dave goes, right? You play with pitch. If there's a baby in a pram, you don't walk up to the baby and go, hello baby, how are you? You go, how are you? How do you do that? And they go, what the hell do I have no idea. Because pitch variation is vital in making speech interesting. And it's fantastic because it's
Monotone is black and white. Hello, I'm John Major.
that's why he was such a bad communicator on camera. In real life, he was a great communicator. The minute a camera came,
His voice went like that. I couldn't believe it. I want some more peas.
So pitch variation is important for colour. Colour. I could read the telephone directory and make it fun. Trust me, I've done it. I've taken the yellow pages, and I once read the yellow pages in a presentation and entertained people by just using variation in pitch, and we do it all the time. We do it naturally. We just don't do it when we're in front of people. It's a skill. You just practice it. And if you establish vocal mirroring, you create connection with people. So if someone speaks quite slowly, they're like, but if you slow your speech down to the way they speak, you connect to them. So an athlete who might be really in a thoughtful phase, if you come in with energy, they are blown away because they stop listening. But if you can then slow your pitch and your pace down slightly, has a very powerful effect. Obviously, don't take the piss. If you go to the local chemist and say, I'd like some paracetamol, please. They go, paracetamol? You want paracetamol? You go, yes, please, paracetamol! That's racist. So, pace. Too fast. People get excited, they're in the heat of battle, they're talking like that, and the message is lost. Because you can't, trust me, you cannot communicate in a big stadium. It's hard. Too slow. I'm going to talk to you today about what's written on the screen. You can read it for yourself, but I don't care. It's boring, right? Sing song. Hello, I'm here to talk to you about something to do with this, and then we're going to do this, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. You get seasick. So it's very powerful to match rhythm, pace, and pitch. You create humour. Trust me, it's the funniest thing in the world when you meet someone who's got really, effective voice. You go, hello, Fuzz, how are you? Oh, nice to see you. They go, ha ha, and laugh. And you don't know why they're laughing. I'm like, as a child, I used to go, why are you laughing? I'm literally impersonating your voice. Then I went to drama school and I realised why. A great teacher who said, why? You naturally match rhythm, pace and pitch, so you create connection with people. I can physically mirror, or I can vocally mirror. And as a coach, all you have is this, and a bit of this, right? So it's a really powerful tool, and it's just something you can get skilled at. So that takes us on to words. Yes, words are going to make an impact. You need to entice a positive and imaginative language. What I call yes words, you also need to express them in an animated and dynamic tone, and no words. Words are negative, affect the impact. Yes. And if you look at it, simple words. No words, no, but, however, I'm afraid, no problem. To be honest, don't worry. I think like basically, to be truthful, I'm about to lie. To be truthful, the car that you want to buy, you're lying. Yes? Yes word, unique, different, innovative. That was a fantastically unique way of going over the bar, somewhere. Wow, I'm so excited to work with you later on, Summer. It's going to be such good fun because I have such confidence in your ability, and I know that we can increase the work we do. And I feel inspired, and I know that this work's sustained. When we work together, we can really sustain the work, and ultimately, and I promise you, I will be relentless in my will-do attitude. Because I know you as a reliable athlete. You're fantastic. And you're so energized. And what we're doing now is so relevant to athletics. And we can create a fantastic, favourable climate. And you can do anything to your advantage. And it will be useful. And what I'm providing to you is free because I love you. Right? I've never done that before in my life. I just made it up. And you saw, I was reading it from there, I just made it up. I've never done that before in my life. We can do that every day. And people are inspired by inspiring language. Trust me, you can change the world with words. You can change it. Now, verbal communication, breath, breathe, pitch, pace, and choice of words. Oh, that's not bad. Why not try saying, no, don't try. I'm going to talk to you about that. That's not bad. Why not say, that's quite good. That's really quite good. And don't say try. I'm banishing the word try from my language. Because try, look, really, I'm going to try to pick that up. I can't do it. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to banish the word try. If you hear me say the word try in this speech, punch me in that. Gently. Right? Remind me. Because I want to take it away. Because I don't want try. I want do. Because do is powerful. It's on the front foot. So, self-confidence, where does that come from? The fourth wall. As an actor, you have an imaginary fourth wall. Look, first wall, second wall, third wall, fourth wall. You're the fourth wall, the audience. On stage, it's always broken. I break it on stage. I stand here and I go, here comes Lord Smithers with the horses. But in my case, here comes Abdul with the AK-47. So we always break the fourth wall. Okay, but on TV, we hardly ever break it. You don't look at the camera. Very rarely do people look at the camera. When The Office was so powerful, because he would turn and just look at the camera. And he would look into your house and you'd be like, oh my God. And David Brent was a genius character. He invented a genius character, but he broke the rule of the fourth wall. Newscasters break it every day. Listen, you must always break it. You must always break the fourth wall, because your audience has the word audio in it. So if they can't hear you, you've got to make connection with a face in the room. So in the speech here, I've tried to, they did it, I'll stop myself. I'm making connection with people, but if I were to talk about somebody who had a really strange voice, and each time I said the word strange voice, I looked at that man over there who's stroking his beard, eventually he'd be like, what is he looking at me? I don't understand. I've got a strange beard and a strange voice. Right? So it's beautiful, by the way. Eventually lamb chops will be in at some point, I'm sure. So it's really powerful to make connection with the audience. This is your audience. They're your people. Connect with them. And it's the same thing when you're coaching. If they can't hear you, they won't hear you. And if they can't see you, you're doomed. I saw Ian McGeechan, the great Scottish British Lions. I used to coach one of the Scottish. It's fantastic. A brilliant experience in my life, getting tried with loads of big men. And it was a really noisy stadium, and he called everyone in the half time, and he sort of looked around and he was like, well, I'm not going to go. Everyone was screaming, so he just went, lads, what I want you to do is this. No, he's Scottish. Right, lads, what I want you to do is this. I really think that we need to. And everybody went down to his level. I thought, you're a genius. He manipulated his environment. I manipulated that straight away because I didn't want to hear. I changed my environment to suit me. I'd rather this wasn't here and this wasn't here. But I can't move it, because I want to connect to you. I feel stuck here, so I'm out in front of it. I'm moving it around. My audience is massively important. I'm breaking the fourth wall. I'm creating connection. The third eye. The third eye is the most powerful thing in communication. It's the voice inside your head, the inner monologue, the critical eye. The one says, oh, don't say that. Don't eat that, make it fat. Don't do that. I don't have a third eye. I don't have a voice inside my head. When I went to drama school, I didn't have any. And then I went to drama school and somebody said, well, you know about third eye. Well, hang on, what are you talking about? You know, the voice inside your head that says don't do it. I don't have one of those. Yes, you do. I'm 29 years old. Why would I have one of those? I've survived this far. My mum's a literate and I'm at the Royal Academy. I must be doing something right. The next morning I woke up and this voice said, you should shave. Amanda Haberland likes it when you shave. I was talking to him. For 6 months, I didn't know what to do on stage. We'd do stuff on stage and like that. Probably on bloody furniture. And then I was listening, I was going through my lines in my head. So I stopped being an actor and reacting. I started being an actor and intoning. And my teacher took me aside and said, what are you doing? I said, it's bloody critical eye. She said, just make friends with it, tell her to piss off. I was like, really? So I made friends with it. I made friends with this critical eye, the voice inside your head, and I realised it was an asset, because as an athlete, I lost it. How many high jumpers run up to the bar going, I'm going to fail this? It doesn't work. You don't fail them. You don't think. You think about process. You think about your breathing. You create a rhythm within your head. Your brain stops working. It becomes automatic. You lose it. But it is an asset. It's your critical eye. It tells you if you're doing something right or wrong. The story that I said earlier, the joke that was slightly inappropriate, I might put that back in. I quite like that. So that I'll be critically analysing this just afterwards to make it better. So, stepping into the persona, Laban, he was a great teacher, and he developed a language to communicate movement. You can use that same language. We can use Laban effectively. It's really powerful. Look, this is going into the Olympics. This is Jermaine walking into the Olympics. Walked into the Olympics like this. And Jermaine had that amazing Jamaican kind of voice, and he walked into the Olympics, he walked into the stadium. Just this absolute swagger. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he looks extraordinary. And then when he started, he cleared, he was amazing. And he was on to win the competition, and only Silnov. Hopefully they'll retest that one, but anyway, we'll go on to that. Only Silnov beat him. And when I spoke to Jermaine afterwards, I said, when you walked in, you had this incredible swagger. What was going through your mind? Were you just thinking, I'm going to smash the Americans, I'm going to smash the Russians, I'm going to beat the Italians? And he went, no, I was shitting myself. Seemed like it. He was absolutely terrible. But he changed his movement because Bolt's his best mate, and he realised if you have fun, you can create something really powerful. And actually, it was a brilliant decision because it set the tone. So what do we do? How do we do this? Do actors get nervous? Yes. Do athletes get nervous? Yes. What do we do to alleviate the nerves? We rehearse. We train. There's no point in rehearsing and training when it's not in competition mode. You've got to make it competition mode sometimes. You've got to up it. You've got to make it hard. You've got to create anxiety. Therefore, we practice. And everyone knows that practice makes perfect. Wrong. Big time wrong. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So what you should be thinking about is, so perfect practice makes perfect permanent. So if you practice at a high level, it becomes habitual, then it becomes natural, then under stress, you're able to compete. Because you go back to using your body rather than your mind. Because your mind is a terrible tool in major competitions. Your body is your instrument. But if you practice working your body effectively, perfect practice, it makes permanent. So under duress or under stress, you achieve a higher level because you're already up there. Because you know what it's like. Here we go, silent count, the athletic communicator, body language, verbal communication, self-confidence. Break the fourth wall, banish the third eye, step into the persona, walk the walk, do what Jermaine did. Walk the walk. Coaches are made. They're born, but they're made. You've got to have a certain leadership quality. And if you think, oh, I can't do it, practice it. It will become habitual, promise you. Practice under pressure. To get good, you have to practice. You have to step into the persona. So practice under pressure in the Olympics in Beijing. See that beautiful moustache? I grew that. I had a full beard during the warm-up. During when we were in the camp, the warm-up track. And I wanted to create a fun environment. So I had this great big beard. So I went to the toilet. When they went in, you had like 45 minutes. And I went to the toilet to shave off my beard. And I had this bizarre moustache. Because I wanted to look like Fu Manchu. But if you look carefully, I look like a porn star. So I wanted to have this fun experience for my athletes. So when they walked out to the Olympic final, Tom Parsons and Jermaine Mason just both started laughing. Where did you get that moustache from? I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's genuinely ridiculous. So I wanted to create a fun environment, and they didn't forget. They forgot, I didn't, because it was me versus the world. I was an unpaid coach doing it to piss the system off. Genuinely had such fun doing it. It was great fun. I was working out, because I had two athletes. Both needed completely different things. One was a white guy from Solihull who couldn't believe it was the Olympic final. One was a big black guy from Jamaica going, I'm going to win gold medal. They needed completely different language and strategy. And I couldn't give them the same, because if I gave them the same, I would have brought one down, or the other one wouldn't have listened. And here's an example of... Okay, that's...
We wouldn't disagree with that, would we? Good coach.
Yeah, he's right. Okay, so let's watch that. So let's do that again. Watch this. I nearly swore in front of 2 billion people. Okay? I'm talking to Tom Parsons, who's crapping himself. And as I'm speaking, I see this extraordinarily handsome Mexican soft porn artist and a monitor on them, and I think, I'm on camera. And you'll see what I was about to say, because I nearly said, get the in crowd on your side. Watch your camera. When this competition finished, I had about 150 texts from around the world. From New York, from Buenos Aires, it was extraordinary. The world is watching. It's totally interesting. Now, he did okay, K-Meth, should have done a bit better, possibly. But Jermaine, hey Jermaine, I want you to show off. I want you to laugh.
Wayne Mason, 2 metres and 34, Ralph Spank already has 1 failure. We like that.
So, he went like this to the audience afterwards. And it became this little thing for him, I want more. And when the camera cuts away from me, I put my hands in my pockets. And I'd done that on his first jump at 2:32. And I thought, well, I don't want to say anything. So I just went like that. And he laughed. Right? And it was, I think that little moment was one of the nicest moments I've ever done. I couldn't think of what to say. So I physicalised it. That's it. Perfect. Do it again. Really sad. Going to that boy's funeral. Really sad. Heartbreaking, in fact. But extraordinary moment. Now, let's take that forward, dealing with stress. This is Robbie Grabos in 2012. This was a guy who was 85th ranked in the world. Was a drunk. Okay? Within a year, he went to number 2 in the world. He's like a caged tiger here. This bar is at 229. This bar is this high. Right? This is a man who wants to kill. He was too aroused. He was too ready at the lower bars. He's pacing like an absolute tiger. And those of you who were there, the noise was astronomical. In first position, and if you look on the slow motion, he walks past this guy who's the defending world champion in the second. Barsham's about to jump. Barsham, him and Drouin got a bronze medal, by the way, so they were pretty bloody good. Look what they've all gone on to do. And there's Jesse Williams. Can't believe it, because when you see this image, this is 229. Robbie should have won the Olympics. The bar went to 233 and there was a cone in the way. He kicked the cone. I knew the Olympics was over because he kicked the cone. Look at his body language. Look at his arousal state. There's Carol Jackson, his original coach, sitting next to me, more terrified than anyone I've ever met. He wants to kill someone. Calm down. I'm calling him back. I'm changing the environment. Look, okay, calm it down. Oh, I did this, I didn't do this right, I didn't do this right. Robbie, you cleared the bar by 10 centimetres. Hey, come here. Just calm down. Didn't work. It worked enough, but when the bar went to 33, that cone was in the way. He walked up to the cone and kicked it because the official kept putting it away. And because I had GB on my back, I didn't shout out to the official. And when that cone left his foot, it's still going around, it's actually around the space station, it's orbiting the space station. I remember thinking, oh, cool, he's done. Because motion creates emotion. He didn't clear the bar. And actually, he should have got a silver medal. And when he gets the silver medal, I guarantee he should have been a gold medalist, because the guy won it. He's a cheat! Okay? You watch. Dealing with stress. So, ideas, dealing with setbacks. Robbie, after that terrible injury, hurt his knee really badly. Really badly. Obvious how he did it in retrospect, but really badly. In 2016, he got back, he won a silver at the World Indoors, and this is what he was like going into Rio. This is 10 days before Rio. This bar is at 220. Right? 10 days. Watch it again. He didn't jump, he pushed the world away. That's what he said to me. Watch it again. Look how he pushes here. Watch how he pushes on the floor. Push. Right? The man is a superhuman. Okay? After this competition, after this training session, we had 6 days basically recovery. We travelled into Rio. And for the 4 days before Rio, that line is at 237. His head is about 12 feet in the air. So I know what shape he was in. But after this training session, Robbie had a tummy bug. He went to the toilet 45 times in 4 days. He was in his own little space in Team GB. He was in the doctor's room, bizarrely. The doctor moved out and he stayed in his own room. He was there for 4 days. I turned around to Neil Black and said, he will not make the final. Neil Black said, what? I said, he will not make the final. He weighs 76k. He came bloody fourth in the Olympics. I personally think he should have won it. He's dealing with setbacks. Horrible, right? That's his fourth place. That's what fourth feels like to him. He's an Olympic medalist. And he knew what shape he was in. They didn't know. He knew what shape he was in. Now, dealing with setbacks, how does that move forward? In 2017, he was the best shape of his life. He did a training session, and it was the best session. He jumped 225 in training from 4 strides. I've never seen, he was like literally like, that night, he went to hospital and had his appendix out. No, that night, he went to hospital and discharged himself. No, not normally. The following night, he had an emergency operation to have his appendix out. 7 weeks to the day, he got silver at the European indoors. I should have not let him compete. I should have let him recover. Because then, 2:31 in 2017 before the World Champs, he opened with 31, pushed Barsham in Doha, he slipped in Shanghai, along with 7 other athletes. 7 other athletes slipped in that competition, including Drouin and all the other ones. And Robbie was the only one to be in the World Champs. So he never got to do, he was wiped out by them. But where did that wipeout start? Did it start in 2017 indoors? Possibly. Possibly. So, for me, what I've learned, if the plan does not work, change the plan, not the goal. That's really powerful as an idea. So how does that make it moving forward? So now we're working with the delightful Morgan Lake, an extraordinary athlete who's got so much to learn. So much to learn. Deeply frustrated with me because I won't let him move forward. Because I don't want to create an athlete who is 3 years in the making. I want 10 years. This is her jumping 197. So we had body, breath and words, the power of words, body language, self-confidence. So this is a really interesting journey for me because this is my 3rd elite athlete. I've had a lot of good athletes, but my 3rd elite, Jermaine, Robbie and now Morgan. It's fascinating, the psychology of working with a woman compared to a man. It's fascinating taking those experiences and taking my time to produce an athlete who can win the Olympics. Not just in a medal, but just win the Olympics. Where maybe 2024, maybe 2020, maybe someone has something to say about that. Practice under pressure. Dealing with your setbacks. So that's what we looked at today. So this is the coach communicator. I'm Fuzz Khan, and I want questions, and I want thoughts. So thank you very much. We started late, so we've done almost
Thanks,
an hour.
Buzz. I think my sides have split though, so. Apologies. Have we got any questions from the audience or any thoughts is a good word.
Thoughts are good, and the other thing is,
Comments?
don't ask me questions outside, because I won't answer them. I'll tell you that now, I will not answer a question outside. If you've got something to say, or you've got an idea, or something that didn't resonate, or resonated with you, say it now, share it. We're a shared experience here.
I'll start because I've got one, yeah. I mean, you're a very experienced coach, RADA trained, so a lot of what you say and what you do, it just comes over like it's natural. You've not really had to plan it. I'd like to, on behalf of the coaches that are coaching athletes in high pressure competition situations, have you ever, or do you actually go in with a strategy of how you're going to communicate with that athlete, and what do you plan?
I think Beijing was the most apparent, because you had Tom that was incredibly, I don't want to make it simplistic, but he was a straight-laced guy. Like he was like, I'm in the Olympic final, and he had improved every year of his life from the age of 12 up to that point. So if you improve a little bit, a lot, it makes a big difference. And suddenly he's in the Olympic final. And people are looking to him as a technical model. And he's like, what? You know, he had 1 pair of high jump shoes. He didn't have any sponsors. He was in the Olympic final. And I look at that, and then Jermaine was so different as a personality. And I knew to draw Jermaine out, because Jermaine had a few setbacks, to draw him out, what strategy did I need? And so that was a completely different combination. With Robbie, the strategy with Robbie in 2012 was, hey Robbie, show off. You're a show off. When you get drunk is when you show off. Just don't drink. Because you can be a show off without being drunk. Being drunk enabled him to be more uninhibited. And so when he became uninhibited, he was able to really connect his athletics. He's not a normal human being. He's a completely strange man. In the Commonwealth Games, he jumped 2:22 from 3 stride in the warm-up, in the hockey camp. And he warmed up and he jumped 2 metres by this much. And everybody in the Commonwealth Games just stood and looked. And he walked up to me with a smirk on his face and he put his hand down and he said, "I'm done." He retired there and then. Because the pleasure of that, he jumped open 230s, first competition, jumped that bar by about a foot, and he didn't care. I'm done. I could not be more proud. People are like, "Oh, you must be so upset." No, because I created the monster to think for himself, and the monster thought for himself. Good for him. Bloody long way to go, by the way. So the strategy for him was really interesting. The next morning I did a session with Morgan Lake and Beth Partridge, and they were terrified. Because Robbie had got it so wrong, it means that they could get it wrong. And they had fantastic training camps. So I sat them down and said, "Look, whatever happened to him doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. And whatever happens in the past doesn't dictate your future. I want you to know that. And this is what I believe you're capable of doing. And this is what I believe that you've done. And this is what I believe I'd like to express yourself as." And they were so pleased with that conversation. Morgan warmed up in the warm-up, and she did a drill, and she went higher than the boys. She went to the track and was so bad in her warm-up that I called her over and hugged her and said, "Knock, knock." I said, "Knock, knock." Utter terror. I said, "Knock, knock." And she said, "Who's there?" I said, "Done." She said, "Done a poo." I said, "Oh, you've done a poo!" Right? She went, "It's not funny." I said, "It's a little bit funny." She said, "It's not funny." I said, "It's quite funny." And then she started laughing. I said, "I want you to go over there and lie down and count to 60. And I want you to think about the best experience of your life." I said, "Just go away." So she lay down on the track, counted to 60, came back and said, "You've rebooted, let's start that warm-up again." And she got a silver medal. She should, in my opinion, have won it. She was beaten by a better girl, but Morgan over-aroused. And it's very difficult to stop someone when they're over-aroused. It's very difficult to pull them back. But I rebooted her to get her back up. So it's a completely different strategy. Now going forward, Morgan doesn't respond to "you're crap." That's not good enough. She doesn't respond to that. I don't bully athletes. I draw them out. I will say, "I'm really interested in what you just did there. But ask yourself, is that the best you can possibly do in today's training session?" And she will ultimately say, "No, I can do more." Okay, come back with more. So it's a very different choice. If you get annoyed, I was a tough coach when I was young. I was hard. I'm a very different coach now because everyone is so unique. So I've changed that strategy to them. So if you change that strategy enough in training, then when you get to a competition, it becomes natural because you know what language to work with athlete A versus athlete B. This guy, Marco Fascinotti, came over to England as a mad Italian, and within 2 years, was number 1 in the world twice. And every time he became number 1 in the world, opened with 233 and 235, because Gianmarco Tamberi was jumping 235 and 237. He believed he was rubbish. Yeah, Gianmarco was number 1 in the world, he was number 2 in the world. He changed his run-up, he got faster. And in the end I said, "Marco, go back to Italy. I don't want to coach you anymore, because you won't let me inside your head. I can't affect you because your anxiety to be number 1 has caused you to overcompensate and you've got injured twice." And the Italian Federation going, "Why are you injuring our athletes?" I said, "I'm not injuring them, he's doing it." In the end I said, go away. That's hard, to have the number 1 in the world or the number 2 in the world and say, goodbye. But you know what? It was the right thing to do. Maybe he'll never be an athlete again. I couldn't give him monkeys. Because for me, it was about his process. He didn't carry on the process. So the process, the plan, permission to perform passionately. He never gave himself the permission to perform passionately. You have to give yourself permission. When Robbie decided to stop being a drunk, he gave himself permission to perform passionately. He had to follow a process and implement a plan. It's so important, those two things. That's what coaches do. The interaction with the athlete is to create that permission, to get them to be inspired. Someone is going to be Olympic champion in 2024. Why can't it be someone? Why can't it be Morgan? Why can't they get gold and silver? Why not? Someone's going to do it. Someone's going to do it. And so if you set yourself out on that idea, you inspired and are drawn towards it, you start to really reel it in. And as coaches, I very, very often say, "You're really underperforming." And you're like, "What?" You're way better than that. Because I know that no one ever told me I was any good. I took up athletics and a year later I was an international. But no one ever said you were very good, because my best mate was Roger Black. So compared to Roger Black, guess what? I was crap. But so was everyone. He was Roger Black. He was Commonwealth champion, a European champion at age 20. I went to the Commonwealth Games, got an American scholarship, took up athletics, got this high level, but I was rubbish compared to my best mate. I wasn't rubbish, I was brilliant, but compared to my best mate, I was rubbish. So it's very easy to put people down. So I'm very interested in that strategy from day one, how you work with an athlete. It instills that idea. The guy who won, number one in the world, won the Diamond League, a guy called Brandon Starr, came to us in 2011 for 8 weeks to train with us, and he was a rubbish high jumper, jumped 218. He's number one in the world, basically, because Barsham's injured. He's improved 18 centimetres in 8 years. How? He did it like that. And he just followed a process. And so for me, it's really interesting. He had setbacks along the way, but he followed this process and was driven towards it. There are many people who can jump 235, 236. It's not as hard as you think it is. But you better be a good 215, 218, 220 high jumper to do it. So if you don't follow a process and you don't allow the person to give themselves permission to do that, then they never can. So that strategy must work from day one. That's my opinion. And a lot of people are like, you're mad. I had 7 people in my group jump 225. One of them was a 195 high jumper, age 19. And he broke his neck and still jumped 226. 226. Everyone's like, how did you get him to jump 226? Because he should have jumped 230. If he hadn't broken his neck and he jumped 230, I still believe it. And people find that extraordinary that I could put that out as an idea. Well, why not? I got Roger Black to be an athlete. He wasn't an athlete. I made him become an athlete. I instinctively knew he was a genius athlete. How did I know? I don't know how I knew. I just looked at the way he moved. I thought, well, you're better than that. So it's really a fascinating idea about strategy, but being inspirational is free.
Thanks, Ross. Yeah.
It's free. It's easy. You know, and also dream. When Bolt won the World Juniors in 2002, he went down the home straight. I was there. He went down the home straight. His vest slipped off, and he went and grabbed it and put it on, carried on. He was 15 years old. In 2008, 6 years later, he became Bolt. What did he do in between? Nothing. Got drunk and pissed around. And then one day he went, no, I've got to do something with this talent. And the rest is history. But he had to give himself permission to do it. And it's fascinating as an idea. But someone's definitely got another question from that, sure. No? Yes.
Yeah, I've got one. Thanks for that. It's obvious from your...
No, go.
Oh, sorry.
It's someone afterwards.
All right. It's obvious from what you just said about having an individual strategy to fit the athlete, so you have a very personalised approach. I'm just quite interested to hear your thoughts on being a male coach to an elite female athlete and how that alters your presentation of self and how you interact.
They're massively different. I've coached a number of good athletes. Isabel Pooley was one of them. And how I worked with Isabel Pooley towards the end of her career, my strategy was wrong. I empowered her to a certain level, but I should have empowered her in a different way. I should have let her make more decisions earlier so she became more independent. Because I was God, the teacher, and everything, whereas I should have created more of a partnership later in her career. That would have allowed, I believe, might have allowed her to be more independent. And I think maybe that would have had a different strategy for her overall as an athlete. And we've lost her. And it's quite sad. So when I work with Morgan, it's a very different strategy because Morgan is so good. And there's so many outside pressures on her. Therefore, I can't use the same strategy I do with a boy because she's got another set of influences that are really strong commercially because she's a beautiful girl and all the things that she's done. So I've got to be very aware of that commercial draw. So much so that the World Indoors, when she came sick, she did a photo shoot after one of her competitions, and straight after a competition in Germany, we travelled back quite late, and then she had to go from Stansted down to London and be in this shoot with Naomi Campbell, and she was on set for like 10 hours, and then after that shoot she had to come back up to Loughborough in a cab, and then she had another thing to do somewhere on the Monday, and it was ridiculous, her schedule, and on the Tuesday she came to training like this, with a bad back, and we missed 21 days of training because of this bad back. Then after the World Indoors, which she did really well because she missed 21 days, she sat with me in the physio room the day after, and she said, you know, Fuzz,
what I did was pretty good considering all the problems I had. And I said, yeah, you missed 21 days, you know. And I was really like, interesting. I looked at the physio, and the physio just thought, he's going to blow. Farsley's about to be rough. And the physio got up and walked out the room. So I walked up to Morgan. I said, and I prodded her on the chest. I said, see right there, there should be a World Championship silver medal. And the reason we don't have a World Championship silver medal is you lost 21 days because you did a bloody photo shoot with Naomi Campbell. What would you rather have? That photo shoot or a silver medal? She just looked at me and went, silver medal. I said, well, don't let it happen again. Done. Now, that was not public. I've made it public now. But it was a very interesting moment. Don't let it happen again. Because you're only relevant if you win medals. You're only commercially viable if you're a winner. You know, the best female athlete in the world is in the women's high jump. She's phenomenal. Her standard is like Tiger Woods. She's an extraordinary athlete. So Morgan's got to get good enough to beat her. And Summer's got to get good enough to beat Morgan. It's a big standard, right? So therefore, the strategy I use with Morgan is to go, I want you to jump 2.5, not 2 meters. I'm working on a 2.5 strategy rather than just, oh, we jump 2 meters, I'm happy. 2.5. Because you take 2.5 to that girl, you can beat her under pressure. That's my logic. Therefore, I create a base of training to establish enough loading to be able to jump 2.5. So very different strategy, but because she's such a bright girl, I need to allow her to see it. I would write training programs for Robbie. It would take me hours, and then I'd hand him the training program. And he'd go, "Thanks," fold it, and put it in his bag. He wouldn't look at all at the training, and I'd be like, after a year, I said, "Robbie, you never look at my training." He's like, "Well, do you want me to jump high first?" "Yeah." "Well, why do I need to read it then? I trust you." Oh, that's got a bloody good point. You know, I don't want him to be bad. Nobody coaches someone to be bad. So it's a very interesting idea that you're very different. One has to be more subtle with females and much more concerned with the emotional side of it, the emotional response, and actually allow them over a period of time privately to open. Because all this like, yeah, men do it, women don't do it. In my experience, very few women do it. That's not. I don't want to pigeonhole certain women, but they're a very different way they think. I have to think like a woman.
Sorry, let's go.
Kira,
Yeah.
last question.
Last question,
Yeah.
sorry.
This is kind of more from an athlete's point of view, but hopefully it'll help as well. It's clear to see that in high jump you can kind of relate to your athletes one-on-one, even as they compete, but on the track, whenever you're racing, it's not that easy. Obviously, whenever you're in the middle of the race, that little voice in your head, which I think you kind of see as the third eye, would you kind of see that similar to that moment?
Massively. I'll give you an example. In 2006, I watched 2 extraordinary coaches who were brilliant at making an athlete be better than they were. Christina Huragu had come from this terrible episode in her life to so she was a really down personality at that point. What happened in 06 to 7 hadn't happened. So she was a very down person. I watched Lloyd Cowan walk around the track 3 times with her. First time she walked around the track, she was like this. Second time, she was like this. Third time, she was like this. Whatever he said worked. I saw George Gandy do exactly the same with Lisa DeBriscoe. He walked around the track. Oh, I don't care. Oh my God. Oh my God. Lisa. 2. And then she started jogging, and I have never seen a distance runner go. She's going to win the Commonwealth Games. It was so interesting. That last 45 minutes before they go into battle, if they know they are the best prepared they possibly can be, that third eye stops talking. You have 4 minutes or 2 minutes to confuse yourself. We have 2 seconds. And I can do a whole shopping list in my head in 2 seconds. I dread to think what you can do. You can bloody quote Shakespeare. Right, so what you can do in that 4 minutes is so powerful. So if you go in there with no noise, but an absolute certainty of your process, and that's created with the coach, with your language, and you've rehearsed it, and then you implement it before that warm-up, you're in the zone. So that's where coaches can affect massively. And I see bad coaches in warm-up. Wow. Oh my God. I genuinely enjoy watching it, because I think, I'm so pleased, you're going to screw the athlete up. and I've often protected some of our younger coaches. So when they warm, they don't know I'm doing that. When they warm up, I stand around
making sure none of the stupid Americans, none of the annoying Russians get in their way. I boss it. And I take control of the environment. Why not, my bloody fan? If you want to use the fan, use the fan. When we do sprint starts, I make sure Posy has clean 3 lanes. After the World Indoors, the American coaches gave me their card. Hey man, it's great working with you. Gave me their card. Stay in touch, man. I'm not a hurdles coach. I know nothing about hurdles. I know a lot about Posy. I know I need to make Posy fearless. And I need to support him effectively. And his coach, Benke, at the time, I need to make him fearless. And so that makes a big difference. I gave Benke the space to be able to be brave. Now, Benke may realise I'm not realised. I knew what my strategy was. What else was I going to do? Sit in my hotel, take my notes? I'd rather be there and win the gold medal and help my mate. So the interesting thing is how the coach can affect you. He has to be very smart about what he says. But you can decide over a whole year. You have a whole year of work to do. And you take 20 pages, can become 10 lines, become 5 lines, can be 1 word. You know, run the curve, get what you deserve. That's all I used to say to Robbie. Run the curve, get what you deserve. Simple. Simple idea. And it was his mantra. And I distilled it to simplicity. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So listen, it's been great. You're a fantastic audience.
Irish people are very funny, so you're very funny. But it's been great fun, and I think we're probably way over.
No, we're not too far over, but yeah, it's because we started a bit late. Thanks, Fuzz.
Thank you very
Yeah.